going to, in the long run, help American manufacturing. There's some argument on the other side of it. But in the short term, like, what's going to happen is the prices are going to go up. The Democratic-aligned Center for American Progress found that Trump's proposed new tariffs would cost typical households an extra $1,500 per year. Here's what that might look like. Trump is proposing a 10% tariff. If that 10% gets passed on to consumers, which is generally how it works, things will cost more. Now, we don't know exactly how much everything would cost, but you just add 10% on the back of the napkin. Here's the cost of living under the Trump tax. Start with groceries, which has been a site of a lot of angst, right? A dozen eggs costs about $3. Once you apply the Trump tax, that goes up to $3.30. And with the U.S. importing more than 4 million eggs a year, that could cost American consumers over $1.2 million. If you like oranges, those currently go for about $1.53 per pound. With the 10% Trump tax, it would be $1.68 per pound, which would cost American consumers almost $71 million for the nearly 500 million pounds that we import. Or how about bananas? We don't really grow them in the U.S., do we? They average about 63 cents per pound, going up to 69 cents per pound with the Trump tax. And thanks to the U.S. importing more than 10 billion with a B pounds per year, that could cost Americans $609 million. That's a $609 million tax on American consumers. Then there's tomatoes. They go for about $2.13 per pound. Apply a 10% Trump tax. They would be $2.34 per pound, potentially costing Americans $3.5 million, thanks to the 16.5 million pounds we import per year. The point is, if you were spending $1,200 a month on groceries, add another 120 to the bill. That's more than even the peak of inflation in 2022, which topped off at 9%. This is 10%, okay? And it's not just groceries. How about the refrigerator? You need to keep those groceries fresh. Right now, the average cost of a new fridge is about $1,300. With the Trump tax, that could go up to $1,430, costing Americans $1.95 billion for the 15 million refrigerators that we import. Again, that's $1.95 billion in new taxes. What about the car you need to drive to the grocery store? On average, a new car costs about $48,808 today. With a Trump tax, it could cost $53,684, with Americans potentially taking a $66.3 billion hit across the more than 13 million cars we import. And that's not even with the 50% tariff that he says he wants to slap on imported cars, which would make it another $25,000. Even the smartphone in your pocket costs on average about $940 right now. With the Trump tax, that could go up to $1,034, with Americans potentially paying an extra $13.2 billion for the nearly 141 million smartphones we import per year. Everyone hates when you have to pay more for things. Inflation is one of the biggest vulnerabilities for a sitting president. And yet, here's Donald Trump in the year of our Lord, 2024, running against President Biden, promising to make things more expensive for every American.